you're thinking of purchasing a home and you really don't know where to start, and that it's fine, because this is the video that's going to explain to you step by step to get you through this process. Now, this is going to be a long video, so make sure you have time. Save it. Maybe you like jogging, maybe you have a long commute, so this way you can understand the process. If you are sitting in your living room, then this is going to be like a movie, okay? But no, at the end of the day, the whole purpose is to an understanding of what is the concept of purchasing a home. Now, some of these things you're gonna be asking again, even after you see in this video, but it's very important for you to have at least some understanding of the whole process. Okay, so with that being said, hi, my name is Danny Lopez. I am a Houston realtor, and my main focus is to help my clients and future clients on their next purchases, whether it's selling or buying or their next investment. And with that, let's get on to it. When purchasing a home, one of the first things I ask my client is their why. This is a step number one for me, if you want to call it like that, is knowing your why, because your why is gonna help us along the way when things get hard, when things get complicated, when things get frustrating, when you feel like just like, you know what, I don't want to buy this house no more. Your why is gonna help you overcome those things, and your why could be anything, but coming from you. You know, I've had clients that they're the first ones purchasing a house in their family. They just started a family, they want to buy a house, their family is expanding, they want to buy a house, they are in a financial state and they want to buy a house. So if it's none of those things, it could be your own reasoning, but whatever is your motive that you want to purchase a house, we're gonna need that why to carry us along this journey. So now that we have your why, now you need to understand the following things. You're gonna have to know what is your credit. I know most of you guys don't even want to know what's your credit. Some of you guys are scared of it. Don't be scared of it. Just head on. Let's view it. And the way that we gain access to it is in your credit cards, you have FICO scores, right? Many of credit cards nowadays provide you a free service where you could go and use and know your credit score for free. So it's kind of like a soft pull. Okay, so once you know your credit score and you are above 620, 630, you're okay. All right, now if you are under that, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. There are programs that can help you still get finance. Okay, so don't panic. Just stay with me. Okay, once we know your credit score, then you want to start getting your finances together. Once you get your credit situated and you are aware of where you stand, the next thing that we want to start calculating is your finances. Sit down with the person that you love, if your spouse, anybody that's going to be taking major decisions, and be aware of how much you're going to be estimating. Okay, if you're paying rent, that's an easy way to estimate how much you want to go up. Okay, and I say this because if you're renting, most likely there's going to be a chance that your monthly is going to be higher than your rent. Okay, once you start doing that, you want to start saving money. A lot of people ask me, how much should I save? You want to save as much as you can, but they tell me, no, but Danny, just give me a number. You want to save as much as you can. And I say this because you as a consumer, you might only be thinking about the down payment or your closing costs. Well, guess what? When we get a brand new house or we get a new place, we want to start buying new furniture. We want to start buying new TV. We want to start buying appliances, right? And that's going to increase our cost. And then you have your utilities, which is electric, water, gas, and so forth. And if you buy yourself a pool, are you going to be cleaning it? So that's additional. If you have a big backyard, are you going to be mowing it? So that's additional cost. So that's why I tell my client, you want to save as much as you can. Okay, you want to prepare yourself. You don't want to get yourself caught out there and not have enough funds, because I tell my clients, like, I get you into your house so you could be there to as long as you want, not to be there a few years and then out because you can't afford it. Okay, we want to be wise. We don't want to just follow. We don't want to get caught out there with this dream and then and it becomes a nightmare. So yeah, so when it comes to saving, we want to make sure we have enough savings, because we're gonna need it for closing costs, and we're also gonna need it for down payment. If you didn't know, there was two different payments. Yes, so down payment is the money that goes directly to the loan. Closing costs is the money that is used for the service of the lender for getting your whole loan prepared and everything that goes into it, like the appraisal, the survey, what else, services that come from the title. So all of that will go towards closing costs. Okay, I know you have questions, but I'm hoping that I answer those questions throughout the process. Since we are talking about finances and money savings, this is something that you need to really keep this in your head, and that is avoid big financial changes. Well, what do you mean, Danny? So I mean the following: avoid switching jobs. I know that this is somewhat you might not have control of, but if this does happen, speak to your lender right away. As soon as you know that there's gonna be you're gonna be switching positions, or let them know, hey, I just got a promotion. Will this affect me? If you have a demotion, then that might affect you. If it's a different type of job, just speak with your lender when something like this is happening. Don't hide it, because they will find out. They do job verification, which to see if you're working. Another thing to avoid is big purchases. Only because you have money now, you've been saving all this money, and you say, I'm gonna go buy me a car. No, don't do it. Please, this will hurt you more than help you. Okay, don't buy the furniture yet, because you technically don't have a house. Same thing goes with a brand new TV. Same things with co-signing with somebody else that needs help. Okay, don't do none of these things yet. Okay, if anything, you could do it after you purchase the house, after you sign, after the realtor gives you the keys. At the end of the day, I'm against co-signing unless it's your own child. Anybody else, it's no. But yeah, any big purchases, please don't max out your cards. No, that's bad behavior. Okay, dumb move rule is keeping your credit cards below 30%. Okay, now let's continue. Step number 2 is getting yourself pre-approved. Now, there might be some people that think differently. Some people think that you should speak to a realtor first, right, and then speak to a lender. Other people think that you should speak with a lender and then speak with a realtor. In this case, we're gonna go speaking with the lenders, and then from there we'll continue. But at the end of the day, I don't think there's no wrong. Connecting yourself with a lender is really important, because it's the lender that's gonna be teaching you and educating yourself what type of program best fit for you. Whether it's FHA, conventional, if you're a veteran, how that benefits you. If you need down payment assistance, all of those type of programs, if they offer those programs, building, you're gonna start building a connection. Now, if you don't know a lender, then you could also get in contact with your realtor. This is why I say some people think a realtor is better talking to first and then the lender. But nevertheless, your realtor will connect you with a lender and get you going with that. For the most part, that conversation will go, hey, hi, Mr. Consumer. Thank you for reaching out. You will have, during your conversation, the lender will send you a link to fill out an application. Once you fill it out, they're gonna know where you stand. Okay. Other documents that are needed are gonna be, some of the documents that the lender is gonna need are the following. They're gonna need your state ID, proof of income, that's your pay stubs. Also, they're gonna need your bank statements, and any other documentation that you have that you may be receiving income, like child support. If you have child support, then you could use that as income. But you need to tell this to your lender. If you have a settlement and if you monthly are getting payments on that, that may be used as income. So all of that conversations you need to have with your lender, and they will say if or not cannot be. They will say if they will tell you if it can or it cannot be used to increase your buying power. During all this process of you providing thousands, no, throughout this process of you providing documentations of who you are, where you've been, what you purchased, why you purchased, who you pay, believe me, it becomes really tedious, and it becomes like these people want to know every single thing that you've done for the past 3 or 4 years. Just take it easy. You're not the only one. It's just part of the process. It's helping you, so there's no hiccups along the way. If your lender is not doing this, it's okay. You might have a clean file, but the people that I work with, they are really detailed upfront. This way, when the process starts, in the process, there is no, oh, I'm sorry, we won't be able to approve you. Okay, so this is all for the benefit of you, to reduce the amount of stress what is to come, right? After providing those documentations and everything else the lender might request of you, a few days may pass, and you might get a good news that from the lender saying that you got a pre-approval. That pre-approval will have a loan amount for, let's just say, 250. That means that you are eligible to purchase a home up to 250,000. Okay, now I always tell my clients to know their max, right? Because for the majority of times, it always happens that we tend to look at a house that is worth 5 or 10 or even 20,000 higher than we were approved. So we want to make sure there's room to go up. Now, if you cannot go up, that is fine. You work with what you have, and you can always try to negotiate, bringing the sales price of the property down. But congrats, you got your pre-approval, 250 or whatever your number is. And remember, only because you get approved for 250, it doesn't mean you need to use it all. Okay, you could find a beautiful home for 200, 180, right? Whatever the price it is, and then you purchase that home, and then your loan will be based on whatever the final price it is. Okay, not for the complete amount that you got approved. And another question that I'll normally get asked is, what happens if I don't use the complete loan amount? Nothing. Is that money does not go, that's not extra money that goes to you. That's just money that you never used. Okay, so it doesn't add on to you, right? You're not gonna have to pay that, or it's gonna be given to you. It's just you didn't use it. Okay, you used 210, that's the amount that's gonna be loaned to you. Some questions that you need to be asking your lender during this process, and it is, how much will my monthly payment be? Now, at this point of the stage, you just got pre-approved, so the lender most likely is gonna be giving you a rough estimate. And a lot of people get annoyed with that. Why can I get a fixed estimate or an exact estimate? And that's because we don't have a house yet. Once you have your house, he will be able to provide you an exact monthly estimate. At this point of the game, he can only estimate how much the taxes are gonna be, how much the HOA is gonna be, and any additional cost that the house may bring. So it's tough to give you an exact monthly, and also your interest rate is not locked in. And then something that I want to say is that a lot of people don't know this, that interest rates change every single day. So imagine him, the lender, or her, the lender, telling you your monthly rate is this today, your monthly rate is that today. It's gonna be changing, so it's a lot of work. So once you find your house, You send this property, now we have concrete, now we have taxes, HOA. He could even quote you on that, the rate of what's of the day, and then he would say, if you purchase this house, this is how much we're looking at. Okay, so just FYI. Another question is, what loan program are best to me? This is the time that you need to be asking your lender this. What do you recommend? Most of you will go with the first time home buyer with FHA, which brings a 3.5% down payment. Okay, which it's one of the best programs out there. Of course, if you're a VA, 100% you should go with VA. If you're more, if you benefit more on going conventional, then go that route. A conventional loan requires for you to give 20% down. Okay. Another question is asking them what are the differences and which one benefit you. This is questions that you need to be asking them. Another question that you need to be asking them is, can I use gift money for my down payment? Many lenders, depending on the type of program that you are in, they will say yes, or they have a limitation, or they will say no. Okay, if you are 100% that you're gonna be getting a gift from your brother, your parents, your grandparents, you need to speak now, because once the process starts, then it makes it more difficult, not impossible, but those numbers are going to start changing. Or it might say, no, we can't, there's a limitation on how much you could get, or no. And I know you're going to be upset, but you need to speak now, so this way we prepare for that. Step 3 is finding the representation that has your best interests. And that should be every single realtor out there. Whoever realtor you end up picking, I'm not gonna mention names, but should have the best interest for you. Okay, so that is very important to understand. Now, if you don't have a realtor, like I said, there's tons here in Houston, but whoever you end up choosing, this is the steps that he's going to be doing for you. After selecting your realtor, there's a buyer representation that you're going to have to sign an agreement that that agent is going to be helping you. Okay, since last year, this new rule has been not new, reinforced, and actually is mandatory for us that we can't show you no homes unless that buyer representation is signed. Okay, once we get that going, it's the realtor's job to explain to you how's the market expectations and help you guide through this process, right? And different neighborhoods operate different, so you as a consumer, you have questions, and that's fine, and you are in your right to ask as many questions. I always tell my clients, ask me questions now, don't ask me questions later, because maybe later might be too late. So if you want to make sure what are the taxes on this property compared to the first property that we saw, I need to be able to tell you that. If there's a flood zone, if whatever information you might need, what type of upgrades this property had in the past, is my job to look for them. Now, some of these things might not be disclosed if there's no information, or if the seller ultimately, after providing that information to you, you will make the final decision whether you want to proceed or continue looking. The realtor also needs to be able to provide homes of your type. What is your criteria? Whether you're looking for a single home, or you're looking for a 2-story, you want a pool, you want a big house, you want a ranch, you want acreage, whatever your search is, the agent will have to customize personalize a search for you, so you could get it on the daily. As soon as a property hit the market, you should be getting that notification. Okay, so if you see something that you like, you notify your agent right away. Now, I'll say this, like I tell all my clients, don't be limited to that only search. If you so happen to be looking at another website and you see a home, but it's not in the list that your agent is sending you, you could provide that you could send him that property and he will definitely look it up for you. Okay, now that you have selected your agent and the process, you're happy with them, you have your lender, you have your realtor, this is some questions that you need to ask your realtor. Okay, do I need to pay my realtor? And since last year, that okay, do I need to pay my realtor? And since last year, that question is yes. If you are a buyer, you are responsible to pay your agent. However, there are still sellers offering compensations to those buyer agents. So this is a conversation that you need to establish with your buyer agent to make sure what type of strategy you decide to approach when there is no conversation on the table. Another question will be, how do you find homes before you hit the market? In the MLS, there is a coming soon, right? Those properties, your agent needs to sign you up by the click of a button and sign you up for coming soons, as well as any actives. As soon as that property is put under coming soon, you will receive a notification. Another way is when you're driving by, you see a property, you look it up. It's probably one of the neighborhoods that you're looking, but you don't see it on the MLS. That means it's coming soon. You take a picture, send it to your agent, and that agent, your agent, might be able to jump into negotiations when they can see it and get you in the door before it hits the market. Another important question that you should ask your realtor is, how competitive is the Houston market right now? And I say Houston since I service the Houston area, and they be able to explain that question for you. If you are a buyer, you definitely should take advantage now that properties are staying longer in the market, forcing sellers to have to negotiate on reducing their price or give out incentives to make buyers purchase their home. Okay, we are in stage number 4. Congrats, you have your lender, you have your realtor, you guys are ready to go shopping now. Okay, so this is what you need to do. You need to create a list of your must-have and nice-to-have. Okay, at the end of the day, once you create that list, you could start shopping, provide that list to your realtors so they could sort out on houses and help you avoid unnecessary homes that you don't really need to see if those homes don't have. The last thing you want to do is just see homes just because we just here, let's just look at it. If you don't like the home, don't waste your time on it. Okay, just go to the ones that you like the most. Most of my clients, what they do is, after seeing the home, we start comparing it. Okay, this house, the first one might be good, and then guess what? We see the other one, and that one is better. So now we are grading them, and then we see the third one, and then that one might fall to the last place, and we might see a fourth one, and then we start grading them, and then we have a conversation. Ultimately, the buyer has final say. I'm just trying to have them speak it out, so this way I know your realtor also starts understanding what is that you're looking for as well, and it helps you and sends you property, even some of them being outside where you want to be. And if the client says no, I'm not looking, that's fine. At least you know where you want to be, and that's good. Important things that you want to know when you're looking at the neighborhoods that you want to live in will be property taxes. Very important. Okay, the HOA, very important. And also, if there's a flood zone in the area, or even if you need extra insurance for those windstorm. So all of that might increase your budget, your monthly payment, to a point that it might take you out of that bracket, might take you out of that neighborhood. So all that information is very important to know upfront, so you could stop wasting time and improve your time on looking at homes on areas that you want to live in. Question that you should be asking your realtor, or questions that you should be asking yourself, that'd be, how many homes should I be looking at before deciding a home? I think that you shouldn't be going over 15 homes. If you go over 15 homes, that means that you're just looking at random properties. You know, I know sometimes it takes long, but I think sometimes is you are scared. You are scared of the commitment. And this is the reason, going back and from the beginning, why I spoke about knowing your why, getting yourself for that rental atmosphere to own it, you know. But yeah, it shouldn't take you no longer than 12 homes, 15 homes, to choose a home. Choose your properties wisely. Choose the one that you really want. Like I mentioned before, ask your realtor, is this property in a flood zone? They should be able to answer that. You don't want to be in a house that floods if you don't feel comfortable. If you are fully aware and you still are okay with it, that is fine. Don't forget, questions to ask is property taxes. Always here, you want to know what are the property taxes. A very, very important question is, can I back out if I don't like the property after making an offer? The simple question is yes, you can back out. Nobody can force you to purchase a property. It all depends when you tell the agent that you want to back out. If you submit an offer and within the 24 hours you tell the agent, hey, you tell your agent you don't want the property, the agent needs to send an email immediately to the listing agent telling them, hey, they don't want the property, don't sign anything, just they want to withdraw. And hopefully you catch them right in time. If that offer gets accepted and it gets executed, when not verbally accepted, executed, meaning that the sellers have signed and everything is in motion now, you still could back out. Like I said before, you could back out at any time of the contract, but it's gonna cost you. So if the property got executed and accepted, not verbally signed, then yes, you can still back out, but it's gonna cost you whatever the option money was. And that's our next step. Step number 5 will be making an offer. Many buyers get nervous. Many buyers get paranoid, and because I understand this is the first time, it's big money, and some people just don't know, and that's fine. I totally respect that. I find it kind of cute, but as a realtor, I'm here to ensure that you're gonna be fine, and there's different ways to protect yourself, because I know that you've been saving money all that time. The last thing you want to do is lose money. Okay, so we're gonna go through steps here, helping you what happens when you submit an offer. Let's say you found a house that you liked, you want to submit an offer. Okay, the first thing I will tell you is I'm gonna run a compatible on different properties that have sold in this neighborhood, okay, to give us an idea what properties are selling for, okay, and then I will tell you if the house is being sold by 250, and I told you, look, the last few properties here have sold from 220,000 all the way to 230,000. Right? So by that, you already know that the property is a bit overpriced, unless it's in better condition that it has been the other one that have sold. At that point, you're gonna have to make a decision. You can either offer them a lower amount or offer them a reasonable amount. Okay? I want you to understand that I'm not here to make that decision for you. I'm here to guide you. I'm here as a counselor to help you out, okay? And if I feel like, yeah, that's too low, that doesn't make sense, we run the risk of insulting the seller. I'm advising you, you're taking the risk, okay? Of, let's say you really like the house, you could run the risk of that seller saying, I don't want to sell it to this guy, to these people, at point blank. And I've seen it happen. You can't force a seller to sell you a property, okay? So you found the house, you decided on the price, we decided on the terms, contingencies, if any contingencies, right? When you submitting an offer, it's gonna be 1% of earnest money. Earnest money is just basically you putting skin in the game. If the house is worth $230,000, so that's gonna be $2,300 of earnest money. Okay, that earnest money does not go to your realtor, does not go to the lender. It goes to the title company. Title company is a third party that does not represent the seller, the buyer, the agent, the lender, okay? They are there to make sure that everything is done fairly and correct, okay? Most of my clients tell me, I just want title to be clean. I just want title to have nothing. Those are the people that do that. Those are the people that make sure that when you pay, that loan amount from the seller gets paid off and not carry on to you, okay? So with that being said, once I prepare, the realtor prepares the offer, you guys agree on terms. Some of the terms might be if you want home warranty, if you want seller contribution, if you want something fix, right? If you need extra time, let's say you need 30 days to close, maybe you need 15, maybe you need a little bit more, stuff like that. Those are terms that you could add on to the offer, right? Once you submit the offer, three things can happen. The seller could say no, the seller could counter back, or the seller could accept your offer. Okay, most likely you're gonna get a counter unless you give a good offer that the seller might say, wow, I'm not even gonna play with these people, they are ready to go. So that's what's gonna happen. But if they do counter, they're gonna counter back with a higher number, right? And they're probably gonna adjust some of the terms, and then it's up to you whether you want to accept it or not, or you could counter again. This could continue happening until both parties, buyer and sellers, agree to final number and terms. Okay, so that's basically what's happening right here at the point of submitting an offer. Questions that you should be asking are, how much should I offer? Like I mentioned before, I will present you the numbers, I will give you advice, but at the end of the day, you are the one that needs to be choosing how much you want to offer. Okay, another question is, what if someone else offers more? We don't know if somebody else offers more, right? Sometimes the listing agent will let me know, the realtor, hey Danny, we have another offer on the table. Please submit your highest and best. Meaning, make sure that if you really want this property, to submit the best offer you can. So at that point, you can't be putting low offers. That's how I know when a buyer really wants a property. If you want a property, I don't want to lose this property, hey, let's just get it, let's give them what we want. Another thing is, will you get a chance to negotiate? Will you get a chance to improve your offer? Because sometimes it's a one offer deal, and if that's your offer, that's it. There's no going back. Okay, so it's important for me to do my job to understand the process that the listing agent and the seller are taking. Because if they're gonna submit an offer and then say highest and best, then you got a chance. You could modify your offer. But if they're not gonna do that, then I need to let you know that you better submit your best offer now and not later, because we won't have a second chance. Can I ask the seller to pay for my closing costs? This is a very common question. Okay, yes, we can ask for the seller to pay your closing costs. Are they obligated to do it? Absolutely not. So buyers don't get upset if they say no. They trying to make their money. It's your responsibility to save money so you could have money to buy your home. Now, I'm not saying that by you asking is wrong. I'm saying that just be ready. Don't depend on their paying your stuff, but it's part of negotiation. I completely understand that. I just had the experience that many of my clients get upset that they say no, and there's been some that say yes. How much can you ask? It's supposed to be 3% max, all right, depending on the loan. So you need to speak to your lender as well. The realtor will be in contact with the realtor as well. I've seen people ask for 6,000, 8,000, 10,000. Seller says, okay, that's fine, but not all situations are the same. And I need you to understand that as well, because only because your mom or your parents, your brother bought a house and they pay for all your closings, the seller at that point, doesn't mean that's going to happen to you. Okay, it's two different people selling properties. So, if it happens, it happened good. If it doesn't, it's okay. It's okay because we were ready, because you watched this video and you saved money. What happens to my earnest money if I change my mind? This question goes similar to what we answered on the previous step. And it all depends when you tell me that you are changing your mind of not purchasing that house. If your offer got accepted and it's within the option period, the option period it's a set of days. It could be 5, 7, 10, whatever amount that is in the contract, and you have that amount of days to decide whether you want to proceed or not. Within those days, you have the option to do your inspection. Okay, if the results of the inspection changes your mind, you got to let your agent know right away before those set days of the option period come to an end. You need to let them know. This way they could reach the agent and say they don't want the house no more. We're gonna follow up with a termination. The only thing that you will end up losing is the amount of the option period. What is the option period amount? It's whatever it says in the contract. It might be 100, it might be 150, whatever amount your realtor set. Okay, so If it's done within the option period days, you won't lose your earnest money. Okay, that money will be given back to you. Title company will send you a check. Okay, if you decide not to purchase this property after the option periods, then it gets a little bit tricky because you might end up losing your earnest money. There's other ways that you might be able to recover it. Let's say the property didn't appraise, right? And that will be somewhat of a way out for you as the buyer. And let's say you lost your job, then that might be a way out, right? But all of those things have deadlines. Okay, so it's important for you to speak with your realtor about that and see how can they protect. Okay, so that's very important. So that's why it's make sure that the house that you like is the one. Okay, because I'm not here, none of the realtors are here for you to lose money. Everybody's here for you to gain your house and for you to make this transaction really smooth. Okay, all right, step number 6 is option period. Your offer got accepted. So what now? What happens now that the offer got accepted? You're probably getting a bunch of emails telling you do this, do this, do this. Title company is emailing you because they got your email from your realtor because this isn't part of the contract and you like going bananas. Okay, well, calm down. We're gonna go through this process right now, even though we kind of touched a few of those steps previously. Your offer got accepted. You should be getting some sort of instructions from your realtor, verbally or by email. So once your offer gets accepted, the property will go under contract. You probably will see it on the website saying it's on the contract. Some of the things that you as a buyer should be working on the following days should be the following: getting the amount of the option period, getting the amount of the earnest money, and getting contacts of inspectors. Okay, within 3 days you need to make yourself available to go to the title company and drop off the amount of the option period and the amount of the earnest money. They both could be in one cashier check or any sort of electronic that accepts payment, right? You could get in contact with the title and they will help you with that. Another thing that you need to be doing is inspection. Set your inspection, have your house inspected. This cost is not free. This is cost comes out from you, the buyer. You could select, you could call a different inspector. Everybody charges different. Everybody have a different rate. So it's important. Or your realtor could provide a few of their preferred inspectors. Make sure that when you're doing your inspection, if they could provide termites, that is good. Make sure that they check the foundation, make sure they check the roof, make sure that they check everything, because you want to be secure and you want to be aware the conditions of your home. Okay, you don't want later on and find out that you have termite and it's going to be a bigger cost for you, something that could have been avoided. And even if you would have stayed with the house, at least you would have treated it right away. Once the inspection report is done, you will get this back. This is all done within the option period. You get it back and then you try to negotiate if there's anything to negotiate. If the property is in good condition, then, congrats, you chose a good home. But if there's some things off, then you might want to bring that to the attention of your realtor. Go over it with them, tell them what are your concerns, and the realtor will guide you through this process. Normally, I like to focus on the big ticket items, not on little things, not on little scratches, not on doors or hinges are being loose, stuff like that. Those, I try to avoid those. But at the end of the day, you are the consumer and you tell me what you want me to present. 2 things could happen from here. Actually, 3 things could happen from here. Once you present all of this to the seller, he could repair it. He could give you seller's credit, basically saying, seller, I'm not going to fix it. Here's some money for you to fix it, buyer. Okay? Or if the seller just doesn't want to do anything, you could actually terminate the contract and proceed looking for another house. Some of the questions I get during this part of the process are the following. What if the inspection find problems? That is their job. The inspector is there to find problems. The inspector is gonna make your beautiful home to be like a mess, like it's falling apart. The inspector is there to find every single little thing that is wrong with the house. A lot of people get scared once they see this, very unfortunate, but that is the job of the inspector. The inspector is not there to say, they got good bones, they got good foundation. It's just there to tell you, hey, this foundation, it's a little inch, that's their job, okay? To find whatever they find on the house that is wrong. Can I get my money back if I cancel? Once again, it all depends where you cancel and at what time in the transaction that you cancel. Do we need to have the seller fix every single thing that is wrong in the property? You could try, but it never happens, guys. Very few sellers are gonna fix everything. Most of the mentality of the seller will say, if I fix all of this, I'm just gonna increase the price, of the property. So that's what I say, be very wise on what you try to negotiate. Negotiate the most expensive stuff, and you could address the little stuff at your own time. If your main goal is just try to get seller credit compensation regarding those issues in the property. What is the option period? The option period is the set of days that the realtor has put in the contract to give you time to do inspection and decide to negotiate and decide to whether you want to proceed purchasing the home or you not. Another question is, are inspections mandatory? And the answer for that is no. Inspections are not mandatory, but are highly recommended. Let's just say, like, I'm not gonna fix anything. I just know I'm not gonna fix anything. What I see, I'm fine with. I would still recommend you to do an inspection for the following reason. You want to know what type of house you're getting into. Maybe the property is in good conditions, but maybe the inspector finds something that could tell you, hey, the buyer, look, the AC pan is dripping. It's fine for now, but in a few months or probably next year, you might want to take another look to make sure that that drip doesn't get any worse. Okay, that's just a simple example. It could be any other things, but at least you are aware of how the property is functioning. So I always advise my clients to always do an inspection, but at the end of the day, they choose whether yes or not to do it. Step number 7 is finalizing your financing. Very important to understand what's happening here. And most of the stuff is going to happen with your lender because he or she is the one taking care of your loan. So we could finalize that and get you your new home. At this point in the transaction, you probably have submitted a ton of documents that the lender have requested. It could be bank statements. It could be anything that you have sold. If you sold your car, they might need a invoice from that. Whatever purchase that they see that is suspicious, they might want an explanation. A whole lot of the documents, right? And then at a certain point, it becomes really tedious, but just hang in there with me, okay? At this point as well, the lender should have told you that they're gonna order the appraisal, right? The appraiser normally comes out, just view the property, walk the property, and look at the contract and say like, hey, they purchasing this property for $235,000, and they're gonna walk it, go around, even go inside, look at its condition, and say, okay, this house looks good. It's not as that simple, but they're gonna run comps, they're gonna do their homework and make sure that the value that you are purchasing it is correct. Let's just give a quick scenario. If the property is worth more than what you purchased it, that's fine. That's more equity for you. Congrats. If the property is lower, let's say the house is not worth $235,000 and it's worth less, then we're gonna have to renegotiate that price. Different things that could happen is you as the buyer need to cover the difference, right? So let's say it's worth $230,000, you're gonna have to come up $335,000, right? Or the seller will have to come down. Most likely that's the case because you might not have the funds. The buyer might have not the funds to cover that, or they will split it down the middle and you pay $250,000. We call it a day and we still get to close. If a agreement is not reached, the transaction is put at a halt and we cannot proceed because the bank won't lend the buyer more money and the seller won't want to sell it at the actual price. Have I seen it happen? Yes, it sucks. It does, because the buyer wants to buy it, the seller wants to sell it, but but I've seen it at a bigger margin numbers. But it happens, right? Another solution, if that will ever to happen, is to get the property reappraised, get another set of eyes, and sometimes, majority of times, it makes it work. So you order your appraisal by the lender, underwriter, your file gets sent to underwriter to review your income, your debt, the property details. They go through everything, making sure these are the people that always reach out asking you, I need extra documentation for your child support, I need extra documentation for that payment that you did on Zelle, whatever the case is. It is, they are the people that always asking for more documents. Questions that always are asked during this stage are the following: what if the home doesn't appraise for the price? I just went over this. What documents do I need to give the lender? Whatever they ask, you need to give it to them. Okay, your pay stub, your bank statement, your light bills, anything. Some of these invoices or documentations that they are asking, sometimes it takes time. Your tax returns, some of you guys haven't filed or whatever, you need to give those documentations, and they need it not because they just want it, they need it because they need to reinforce whatever finances you getting approved for, right? They are not asking it just to make your life miserable, believe me. Another question is, can I buy furniture now before closing at this stage of the game? No, you can't. Don't do it. Understand this. If you go ahead and buy furniture, how much furniture is going to be? Like $12,000, 15, because we all want the best. That's going to increase your debt, and then it might affect you on even purchasing the house that you wanted. So that's why it's always better hold off and wait. What is mortgage insurance? The lender most likely explains this to you, but I'll explain it briefly. Mortgage insurance is a PMI. Back in the days, it will be separated. People used to say, oh, I have a small loan and a big loan. That is the PMI. It used to come off after 20 years. Nowadays, it just stays there for life. Okay, if you want to get rid of that, you will have to refinance. This way you could get away from the PMI, or just get 20%. Step number 8. At this point, we are almost there. Almost like 25 days already have passed. So closing preparation is in order. So this is the few things that are gonna happen. You're gonna receive closing documents from the lender. These are all the numbers. By this time, your rate should have been locked in. You should have already got your insurance. You should already seen an estimate of what are your final numbers, how much you need to bring to the table, what is your monthly payment. All of that you should have gotten already, okay? And if you haven't, then call me. So you should have gotten those. Normally you need to have those 3 days before closing. That was a new law that was established a few years ago, and the numbers should not change. Otherwise, those 3 days will reset. And after you get that, you will be reviewing all the loan terms and final numbers, how much you need to bring to the table. I will come in to give you a final walkthrough of the property. Always walk the property before signing. Try to make yourself available. Talk to the realtor. Most likely he will remind you. Walk the property. Make sure that all the repairs were done. They should have sent you receipts. They should have sent you pictures. They should have sent you some sort of proof that it was done. You should definitely do a final walkthrough. The most closest to the time, the better. If you could do it in the morning and then sign in the afternoon, perfect. What to bring to the closing table? What you're gonna bring is a valid ID, valid passport, and then a cashier's check. Or if you're gonna be wiring the funds, make sure you do. I normally tell my clients to wire the funds the day before, so we can make sure that everything, the funds are there already. And that's about it. And then you get ready to sign, because you're gonna be signing a ton of paper. Questions that are asked during this process are the following: how much do I bring to the closing table? The lender should have definitely told you that. The lender or the title company should have sent you a saying, hi, congratulations, this is the full amount that you need to be bringing. Can I move right in after closing? This is tricky. If the seller already signed and the buyer is the last one to sign, and the title company tells you you are closed and funded, meaning that transaction is closed, you could move in that same day. If you close, if the buyer signs first and the seller signs second, you have to wait for the title company to say clear to close. That's why it's important to close in the morning for both parties. Closing the earliest you can, so this way you could move in that same day. Because if the buyer and seller close around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, it's gonna be hard for that file to be funded unless it's a cash deal. Okay, but we already established that you're getting financed. If it's a cash deal, then you can move in because the cash is there and everything. You can do that. But it all depends. You gotta wait for the title to say clear to close, close and funded, we are good. It's tricky. It's not a yes or no question. It all depends on the situation. What if something is wrong with the final walkthrough? What if something is wrong with the final walkthrough? That is a good question. Let's say they didn't do their repairs. Yeah, you shouldn't sign. You shouldn't sign this. I mean, there's different ways to resolve that, but you should definitely have the realtor call the agent. Hey, what's going on? The repairs wasn't done. The door wasn't replaced. The window wasn't replaced. The sink wasn't fixed. The easy way to fix that is getting seller compensation. An amendment saying that the seller is gonna give my buyer $1,000. I'm just throwing out $1,000. I mean, I don't know, whatever number you agree on, that's fine. But that's the quickest way to fix that. But yeah, you shouldn't sign unless you are really ready just to close, But yes, you absolutely, if something was not completed in the final walkthrough from whatever was agreed, you shouldn't sign unless you are willing to proceed. Okay, who will be in the closing table? That will be the buyer, will be you as the buyer, the title company will be at the table, and your realtor, hopefully me. We will be there, and most realtors get you a gift cards, hug and kisses, congratulations, and it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. At the 9th step, we have finally arrived at the closing day. Okay, this is the closing day. This is the day you're gonna sign. This is the day that all your hard work has paid off. God knows how many houses you saw, walked, toured, all the negotiation, all the hard work that you put on saving money, on fixing your credit, on doing everything right so you could have your own house. Closing days are pretty cool because it's the journey. It's really the journey in how you get to know people, right? It's also sad in my behalf because you spend a few months with these people and then after that, I'm not gonna see you. It's sad. Okay, but this is what happens in the closing day. You're gonna sign a whole stack of paper. Title company will explain to you each document, and you're gonna be signing the deed, of course, saying that the seller is selling you this property and you are committing yourself on paying this loan, and they will go through all those documents with you. Title company will record the purchase. Title company will send a copy to the county saying that you are the new owner. And then once everything, remember what I said before, once we gotta close and fund it, the keys will be released to you. So that's basically what happens. You should be totally fine. Here's questions that I normally get asked. How long does closing take? If you're financing, it's gonna take about 45 to an hour. Okay, they're getting better at this. Sometimes it's less. When do I get the keys? Again, you get keys when you get closed and funded, when title says we are good. Do I need to bring anything beside ID? You need to bring the money. And you need to bring anybody else that is going to be signing. Okay, so you need to make sure, if it's you and your wife, or you and your husband, or anybody else, your kids, anything, your parents, they need to be there to sign. What about if you can attend closing? Then that's an issue because you are the person that needs to be signing. So there's a few things to go about this. They could do remotely. They could send somebody to your location and have you sign there. If that's not possible, there's also a way that certain title companies offer to sign through Zoom, right? To some sort of FaceTime mechanism. And then once all of that is done, guys, congrats, you made it this far. You got your house. You could go celebrate. You could go buy that furniture. You could buy the biggest TVs you want. You could co-sign. No, really, don't co-sign on. It's bad. But everything else, like, you could do. You guys will be rock stars, and congrats and all of that. And here's a few things that you should do after you purchase your home, or between a few days before closing, and that is switching the utilities to your name. Once you know you got the clear close from your lender, you should start. I would say 3 days before closing, you should start switching your utilities to your name. Change all the locks, change all the security codes. Not to say that the sellers are bad, are gonna come in, but you don't know who else have those codes. And for safety, it's better to be safe than sorry. Keep all the documents that you were given to you at closing at a safe place, so this way, for the future, you know where you have them. Very, very important. After you get the house and after you change your license to the current location of your new home, you want to file for homestead exception. Okay, this will help you a lot. Put in easy terms, this will lower your taxes. Okay, it's free, it's a government program, and it will help you save some money. Other questions that I get at closing is, when is my first mortgage payment due? Normally they will tell you at closing, but it could be anywhere for the 2 or 1 month after. Okay, depending when you close. How do I apply to homestead in Texas? It's very easy. If you haven't and you're watching this video, there's different counties, so each county does it different. Just Google homestead exception in Texas and then put the county. They will guide you to it. Okay, what's the best way to maintain a new home? Keeping it clean. No, I'm sorry, I was joking. But just don't maintain it, clean the air filters, give attention to the home. You don't want to abandon your house, because otherwise it's gonna lose value. At the time of selling, it's gonna look bad. And I know you, as we want top dollars for our property. So to save you the headache, don't push things away. Get yourself a nice handyman. Ask your realtor if he knows a handyman, so whenever something goes wrong, you can always call this person and have it fixed, and that's how you maintain your property. Can I refinance if rates drop? Yes, you can refinance if rates drops. Speak to that same lender. Ask them how soon you could do it. It might be 6 months after you purchase a house. If rates really drop that low, it might be in consideration. But yeah, you could definitely do that. Guys, thank you again for sticking out with me. Hope this video was very informative. And if you have any questions, if you need my assistance, feel free to call me or email me. You could catch me at all my social medias, where I'm always dropping information of new communities, of new constructions. And that's it. Until next time, God bless, and see you on the next one. Bye.